I think NGOs are getting better and better at campaigning all the time, but there's still an enormous opportunity to learn from each other. I think particularly exchange between the North and the South is really important. The developed world has a lot of very arrogant NGOs which need to learn a lot from some of the incredibly inspiring work of people from developing countries. I think some of the better organisations have a set of tools now which they would use to determine, where the best places to start a campaign were. I mean, you need to look at the battlefield and then work out your tactics. Clearly, corporates are an important place to go. They are hugely sensitive, particularly if they have big reputations. If they're exposed in the public eye, then you can do a lot with them. Governments are less responsive, unfortunately, partly because the role of government has rolled back in many developed countries, and partly because it's hard to get an electorate to vote on what are essentially, small sectoral issues. The key element in the UK seafood campaign, but I think it's true in the sense of all corporate campaigns, is you need to get a proposition which is irrefutable. I mean, no supermarket could honestly say that it was going to sell seafood that was not sustainable in the end. It couldn't actually say, yeah, we'll be the guys that sells the last cod from the North Sea. They just couldn't do it. And when you have a situation where your argument is unanswerable in that sense, you've won. It's just a question of time.
I was invited to share some of Oxfam's experiences with trying to influence corporates. Oxfam's got a fair degree of experience over the years from trying to influence the mining industry, coffee producers, sportswear producers, pharmaceutical industry. And some of the research that we've worked on is, for instance, in the sportswear industry. We've worked with trade unions and non-government organisations in countries like Indonesia and Vietnam and China, documenting the experience of workers in those industries. Often very abusive environments, working environments where occupational health and safety is of low regard, where the right to organise is not respected, and where companies' own codes of conduct have been ridden roughshod. We've used that experience of getting the voices of people in the industries into public debate as a way of trying to pressure the companies for change. I think there is a great potential for organisations like Choice and Consumers International members to work together with organisations like Oxfam, using some of our research, using some of our contacts and our joint reach in literally to millions of people around the world to really influence the corporate sector and make it live up to its responsibility, make sure it's accountable for their social and environmental impact. Some companies want to do the right thing, but they lack the tools to do that effectively. And that's where organisations like Oxfam, organisations like Consumers International should be adopting an approach of accompaniment rather than direct advocacy or campaigning. Building upon the good things, to use the old Jiminy Cricket expression, accentuating the positive.